This is Richard Fowler. I'm John Kilpatrick with Okolona Aikido, Louisville, Kentucky, USA. And today I want to look at Ikkyo, which is number one, first technique. And normally we've been looking at leading first and then looking at the structure break, but I think for this we need to look at the structure break first and then look at the leading. Now, the leading makes everything a whole lot easier. So structure break becomes a whole lot easier with leading, but you have to know the structure break before you can put in the leading. So let's look at our basic structure break, forward structure break form. And we're going to use that form for a whole lot of our techniques. So if he catches my, actually I'll just catch his wrist and stand with feet on this, yeah, let's back up a little bit more. There we go. So if he's standing like with his feet on a line, I'm perpendicular to the line here. So I have his arm perpendicular to the line, and the structure break goes, I take his hand straight down. And so I take his hand down and cause him to bend forward, and I go almost to the floor. Then, to get him to fall, I extend this out, and he falls. So that's the basic structure break. And what's happening here, let's do it from the other side. Yeah, this way. What's happening is that when I lower this, it makes it really hard for him to step. And if he steps into it, then I have to do more to get it to work. So, and now my body's in the way, but there are probably things you can see you couldn't see before. So I go straight down here, and then this traps his feet and gets him compromised, and then I extend this out, and he falls forward. So that's your basic structure break. Now, Ikkyo and everything we do really is based on this basic structure break. Well, not everything, but there are other structure breaks, but this is basic. So with Ikkyo, he grabs my wrist, and so I'm bringing my hand over his hand. I don't need to grab here. I just sit my hand on his hand, and then I'm going to bring this hand up under his arm. And to do that, I step right in front of his foot. This is for Irimi. And the Irimi is me stepping in front of his foot. So I'm here, I step, I'm coming under his arm to step. This is a coordinated body movement. And then I'm going to drop his hand. Now when I do this, if I drop his hand back this way, it causes him to step forward. If I go back this way too much, he steps back. I want to do it in such a way that I trap his foot. So I'm going to lower this straight down, trap it, and then I push with this hand that is above his elbow and break his structure so that he falls. So this is the same thing as our basic structure break exercise. And something I'll point out here, which is something I would think about a lot when I was learning this stuff, that a lot of these exercises we are doing are thought of as sword cuts. So your basic sword cut, the way we do it, and we'll get into this a good bit, but not right now. But your basic sword cut is your sword is cutting out and coming down. So it's going straight out and coming down like this. So if we were cutting all the way to the floor, we would take the handle to the floor. So we're cutting and coming down like this. Now that's a basic cut. I don't know that you'd ever cut that low unless you were cutting somebody that's really close to the ground. But with Ikkyo, what's happening is we've got a hand up here, and so this hand is going to the floor, and then this is cutting down. So you can think of Ikkyo as a basic sword cut. If I'm doing it on his arm like he's standing now, I'm here, and then I'm coming down and pushing this forward. So on his arm then, when we're doing that, his forearm here is the sword blade. And so if I were, this is more like a Yankyo, but if I'm holding the sword here and cut here, that's cutting with this. In Ikkyo, we've got the hand back here. We're back in this position cutting. So you can think of this as a sword cut where you're using his arm from his hand to his elbow as the blade of the sword, and when I do this movement, I'm cutting down to the floor. So if I'm doing this, and we're doing this from a grab, but you don't need to do that, but I'm coming here, then I'm cutting down to the floor, and I could have taken the hand lower. I think the lower you take the hand, the easier it is to get him to fall. Also, the more you have to squat, which that's almost like work. But so if we do that from this side again, so here's the sword blade, and so I'm stepping in here, coming up underneath this, taking this to the floor and dropping it down. So that's our basic Ikkyo structure, and I think those are the important points for it. And you don't have to. This should not. You have to, for anything you do. If you're going to really do it, I don't consider this a technique. This is just an exercise to teach you structure breaking. But if you're going to try to do anything as a technique, it has to happen at reflex speed. You can't do it really slowly like this where he can keep adjusting to what you're doing.